When the wife of the noble family saw me tear apart every document, preparing to confront the colossal empire of her household hidden, she suddenly realized that I, the son-in-law who came to live with her, was now beyond her control. However, when she saw the divorce agreement I presented, she stood frozen, struck dumb with shock. It was written there that I willingly left with nothing, even relinquishing my rights to our son. I sat calmly at the table, saying that this marriage had long been an empty shell. I had no intention of prolonging it further. Sign it for the good of us both. She and her mother always wanted Theodore to be their son-in-law. I was merely stepping aside for him. With that said, I walked away from the cage called family. I thought she would see reason and sign the divorce agreement. But to my surprise, she tore it to shreds. From childhood, I was raised by the Lee family to be their son-in-law. At 20, I married Magnolia Lee, and by 22, Magnolia and I had a son named Vincent Wong. Vincent Wong was the spitting image of Magnolia, always silent, rarely speaking. He never took the initiative to bond with me. Last night, for the first time, the boy called out to me, "Father, Uncle Theodore is ill near death. His wish is to marry Mother. Father, can you and Mother divorce?" In that moment, I lost all hope in both mother and son. So be it, let's divorce. I would grant their wish. This was the first time such a thought crossed my mind. At breakfast, I took the initiative to hand the divorce agreement to Magnolia. It showed my sincerity. My son's words kept me awake all night. If the boy admired Theodore so much, then I would agree to the divorce. At the same time, I would relinquish my rights to Vincent Wong, leaving with nothing. The wealth that belonged to us as husband and wife, let her place it under our son's name. Consider it my provision for the boy. Magnolia set down her coffee cup, lifting her head, frowning. "What did you just say to me?" I glanced at her ear, where a Bluetooth earpiece still flickered. I realized the words I had spoken. She hadn't heard a single one. A powerful sense of helplessness surged within me. Every time I tried to talk to her, I was met with this indifference. Take this period for instance. Every evening she came home reeking of dragon flame perfume. Our son once mentioned casually, dragon flame was Theodore's favorite scent. Unable to hold back, I asked, "Who have you been meeting lately?" Magnolia only mumbled, "Friends." She didn't even spare me a glance. I truly wondered, after 5 years of marriage, if she even knew her husband's name was Victor Wong. These stifling days had enough. I flipped the divorce agreement to the final page, handed it to her, "Sign it. It won't take much of your time." Magnolia frowned, giving me a glance, about to flip through it, when our son ran over, "Mother, wait a moment. Are you going to play golf with Uncle Theodore?" "I want to go too." As Magnolia stood, I grabbed her wrist. "Sign it." Magnolia finally turned to look at me, a flicker of surprise in her eyes. I guessed she wasn't used to it. Me, a man without a spine, suddenly standing firm. Our son urged, "Mother, hurry. If Uncle Theodore waits too long, he'll get angry and punish you." In the next moment, without even reading it, Magnolia grabbed a pen and signed. Mother and son left quickly. I didn't know if Magnolia signed without reading, because she trusted me or because she dismissed me entirely. I gripped the pen tightly, scrawling my name beside her signature. In this lifetime, my name and Magnolia's side by side. The first time was on our marriage certificate, the second on our divorce agreement. After signing, my hand still trembled faintly. I took a deep breath, holding the divorce agreement, and sent it to the lawyer I'd contacted beforehand. Then I went upstairs to pack my things. When I opened the wardrobe, I found it filled with clothes, none of which I truly liked, because no one knew. Before 16, I loved bungee jumping, racing cars at breakneck speeds, laughing loudly with reckless abandon. But since marrying Magnolia, I was taught to follow rules, to be humble, gentle, because the Lee family needed only a perfect match for their alliance. Though I sacrificed my true self, I received no recognition, only mockery from Magnolia's friends. They laughed that I was just a live-on son-in-law, a pretender. They believed Theodore was the one worthy of Magnolia. Thinking of these things, looking at the present, at the clothes belonging to the Lee family's son-in-law, I suddenly felt an indescribable pain and nausea. Unable to hold back, I rushed to the bathroom, retching violently. After vomiting, I looked up, seeing in the mirror a version of myself a fraud. I suddenly felt divorce was truly the right choice. I didn't want to live in this cage any longer. I wanted to break free from it, to start anew as myself. So I pulled out the black shirt I owned before marriage, called my best friend asking him to pick me up and leave. The Lee family wasn't my home, and the Wong family, since I married Magnolia, no longer cared for me either. It wasn't my home anymore. My friend arrived quickly at the gate, but with suspicion. How are you free to meet me? Today's your birthday. Didn't you say last week you'd celebrate with your wife and son? I froze, pulling out my phone to check messages, only to realize last week I had indeed booked a restaurant for my birthday. Even sent a date request to Magnolia. She still hadn't replied. Was I disappointed? Perhaps I would have been before, but now I was numb. I got into the car, heading with my friend to the birthday restaurant. But when we arrived and mentioned the birthday reservation, the manager awkwardly refunded us. Sir, the restaurant has been fully booked by President Lee today. She's celebrating her husband's birthday. The young master is also waiting for his father to arrive. Well, refund your deposit double. My friend laughed, pulling me inside. No need for a refund. The man standing before you is. But as we entered the center of the hall, from afar we heard the joyful laughter of a family of 3. There was Magnolia leading Vincent Wong, celebrating Theodore's birthday. Magnolia said, wishing you peace and success. Vincent said, wishing Uncle Theodore's dreams come true, to marry mother and be my father. I watched them offer birthday wishes, the 3 of them sitting happily together. Magnolia's gaze never left Theodore. Vincent Wong, attentively pulling out a chair for Theodore, pouring tea, adjusting his coat. In 5 years of marriage, Magnolia didn't even know my birthday, let alone celebrate it. I always took care of her at home, yet she never poured me a glass of water. My friend couldn't stand it, wanting to storm over and demand justice for me. But I held him back, saying only it's not necessary. I had signed the divorce agreement with Magnolia. My friend immediately took me to his place. Before I could even feel anxious, he was already fuming, hugging my shoulder, cursing Magnolia as heartless, cursing Vincent Wong as ungrateful. For 5 years, you practically revolved around them. 247. No job, no social life. It was hard enough to drag you out for fun. One call from Magnolia, and you'd light up like a kid, rushing home to cook her nourishing soup. When your son was weaning and crying endlessly, you, the father, stayed up night after night soothing him. You poured your heart into them only to be betrayed. Victor Wong, I know you must be heartbroken. If you want to cry, just cry. Listening to my friend ramble, I tilted my head back, taking a swig of beer, leaning against the sofa. Cry. I can't cry anymore. But if cried plenty before. A man like me, forced by the Lee family to learn etiquette, ignored when I confided in Magnolia, waiting in the snow until midnight for her, only for her not to come home, not even a word. When Vincent had a high fever in the middle of the night, I called Magnolia and she hung up on me. I too once naively hoped for a loving marriage, a kind father, a filial son, but they never saw me, not in 5 years. I should have woken up long ago. Drunk, I drifted into a hazy sleep. The next morning, I was surprised to receive a call from Magnolia. She seemed to have just woken up, her voice hoarse. Where's the necklace I always wear? I blurted out. In the dressing room first drawer, and the matching earrings in the drawer below the necklace. After a question and an answer, I suddenly realized we're about to divorce. From now on, I didn't need to prepare Magnolia's clothes every morning, nor wait for her at midnight, serving her a bowl of warm stomach-soothing porridge. Magnolia didn't seem to notice that I had left our marital villa. In reminding you, have the maid reorganize your dressing room. From now on, ask them for whatever you need. We're about to divorce. It's not quite right for you to call me about finding things. After I spoke, I heard Magnolia murmur an acknowledgement, the sound of a drawer being pulled open on her end. I thought I'd made everything clear, and was about to hang up, But then I heard Magnolia instruct for the next few days at noon, cook seafood porridge, and send it to the president's office at the Lee Corporation. With that, she hung up. It seemed my words about divorce didn't register with her at all. Not a single word. It was as if I'd shouted myself hoarse, and she hadn't heard a thing. I took a deep breath, so angry my fingertips trembled, and blocked Magnolia's number on impulse. After some thought, I also blocked the number of Vincent's kindergarten teacher, but I forgot to block Mrs. Lee's number. So when I woke up after a good sleep, preparing to go out for lunch, she intercepted my car, throwing a stack of photos in my face. All intimate pictures of Magnolia and Theodore. You've disappointed me terribly. Since you were 16, I personally raised you. Victor Wong, 10 years have passed, and a man like you still can't control his wife. Had I known you were this useless, I wouldn't have overlooked Theodore's illegitimacy and chosen him as Magnolia's husband instead. The sharp edges of the photos sliced my neck, drawing blood. When Mrs. Lee chose me as her future son-in-law, many envied my luck. But from 16, I lost my freedom, living only to become the Lee family's son-in-law. I was suffocated by the weight of it. In my final year of high school, I rebelled, dated early, caused trouble in front of Magnolia, thinking she'd cancel the engagement. But she said nothing, though I was only married to Magnolia for 5 years. I'd been controlled for 10. I'd had enough. I said bluntly to Mrs. Lee, Magnolia and I have signed the divorce agreement. I'm not keeping custody of our son. I'm leaving with nothing. If you're dissatisfied, find a more suitable son-in-law. With that, I opened the car door and stepped out. Mrs. Lee froze for a second, then grabbed my wrist in fury. Victor Wong, how dare you? Her sharp red-painted nails dug into my skin, stinging like needles. I turned slowly but smiled. There's nothing I don't dare. Being the Lee family's son-in-law was never my honor. I rolled up my sleeve, for the first time letting an outsider see the crisscrossing scars on my wrist. Mrs. Lee saw the twisted painting-like scars on my arm, and in shock she let go. I smiled again, caressing the jagged scars on my wrist. I never wanted to be the Lee family's son-in-law. Every time I couldn't break free, I'd savagely cut myself. For 10 years, every time I dreamed. Do you know what I screamed in my dreams? I looked up, staring into Mrs. Lee's darkened face. Each word deliberate, I screamed. Is there anyone to save me? But now I understand. Only I can save myself. Only by being free, being myself, can I truly live. I calmly finished speaking and opened the car door to leave. This time Mrs. Lee didn't stop me, but the resentment in my heart couldn't be contained. I had to release it somehow. I pulled out the dusty red supercar, floored the gas, and sped off. Perhaps Magnolia never cared about me. I raced through an intersection, crashing hidden into a Maybach. License plate 88,888, Magnolia's car. The person who quickly stepped out of the other car was Magnolia's assistant. I lowered my car window. The assistant, seeing me, was stunned, sir. I wasn't surprised by his shock. In 5 years of marriage, those around Magnolia had a fixed impression of me. Gentle, humble, honest, simple, like still water. A man like that speeding in a car. No wonder it seemed strange. I offered no explanation, handing over a business card, saying to contact my insurance agent for any compensation. Then I put on sunglasses, floored the gas, and drove off. The assistant quickly returned to the Maybach, reporting to Magnolia, President Lee, the driver was your husband. Magnolia rubbed her temple, coldly ordering, let's go, as if the driver being her husband or a stranger made no difference to her. The assistant didn't dare ask more, but he didn't expect that 3 hours later, the couple would meet again. At that moment, Magnolia was signing a development contract with a partner at a racetrack for a deal. A race was being held there. A fiery red car, with explosive, thrilling momentum, took first place. The driver stepped out, wearing a sleek dark red racing suit, tall and powerful, so striking no one could look away. Even Magnolia showed clear surprise and admiration, until the driver removed his helmet, revealing his face. The assistant exclaimed repeatedly. President Lee, is your husband that good at racing? Magnolia didn't respond, only watching silently. The women around cast fervent glances at the tall figure. Her eyes flickered with displeasure. When I noticed Magnolia's gaze, I didn't acknowledge her for years, except at formal events like Yvonne Lias parties. She treated me like a stranger when we met. So when the race organizers introduced me to Magnolia, I pretended not to know her, politely saying, President Lee, I've long admired your reputation. Magnolia maintained her icy demeanor. The atmosphere grew slightly awkward, until Theodore's voice broke in. Magnolia, finish your work. If you're done, let's head back to the company for lunch. I want to eat the seafood porridge your maid makes. I turned and saw Theodore step out of the Maybach, approaching and casually wrapping an arm around Magnolia's waist. Theodore likely didn't see me as a rival, even smiling at me. After they walked away, someone remarked, President Lee goes out for work and brings Mr. Theodore along. Their relationship is so strong. Magnolia's assistant hadn't left yet. Hearing this, he gave me a strange look. I guessed he was thinking, how could there be such a useless man? I said nothing, leaving the racetrack as well. Then I immediately called my lawyer, asking when I could receive the divorce papers. The lawyer told me to wait 7 days. 7 more days. Fine, I'd endured 10 years. 7 days was nothing. But just as I calmed down, I got a call from Magnolia's assistant, sir. The president asked when the seafood porridge will be delivered. Also, Master Vincent's teacher said she couldn't reach you. His craft project hasn't been submitted. Could you bring it over if it's convenient? I recalled before Vincent asked me to divorce his mother. I was working on his craft project, sewing stitch by stitch via video call. Before I left the house, the project was only half finished. I looked up at the free clouds in the sky, calmly saying, tell Magnolia, there's no more seafood porridge. I won't be delivering it anymore. As for Vincent's matters, I'm done managing them. Don't contact me again. With that, I blocked the assistant's number. On the other end, the corporation's assistant held the phone, face full of awkwardness. President, your husband hung up on me. I tried calling back, but it wouldn't go through. He might have blocked me. Maybe you should try calling. Magnolia frowned, rarely pulling out her phone, scrolling to the contact labeled husband, and sending a message. What are you making a fuss about? The next second, a red notification popped up. The other party has enabled friend verification. You are not their friend. Please send a friend request first. You can chat after they verify. The assistant saw it, noticing the chat history on Magnolia's phone. The earliest message was from a week ago. He was shocked. I didn't expect your husband's birthday to be the same day as Mr. Theodore's. So yesterday was his birthday too. President, didn't you give him a birthday gift? Magnolia was silent for a second. I didn't notice that the assistant wasn't surprised by her response. After all, in their long chat history, she hadn't replied to a single message. But then he heard her instruct, make up for it with a birthday gift for him. You handle the gift. Yes, President, the assistant hurriedly agreed. Before he could pick out a gift, he saw Magnolia lower her head to review documents. He sighed, quietly leaving the office to quickly choose a gift. That evening, I received the birthday gift sent by Magnolia's assistant. It was quite unexpected, but I refused to accept it. I didn't know what Magnolia was trying to prove. My birthday had already passed. What use was a gift now? Besides, for 10 years my only birthday wish was one thing: freedom for Magnolia to divorce me. In a way, she had silently fulfilled it. I thought the 7 days waiting for the divorce papers would mean no more dealings with Magnolia. But after the assistant left with the gift, I received a message from Mrs. Lee Victor Wong. I don't care about your divorce with Magnolia, but before the divorce, my grandson must not be affected in any way. How could Vincent Wong be affected? He was the one who asked me to divorce his mother. I hadn't even replied when Mrs. Lee's messages kept coming. Victor Wong, if you don't want the divorce to cause trouble, this weekend, you must come to the old house as usual to be with me and my grandson. Magnolia didn't like crowded places. After we married, she and I moved out of the Lee family's old house, living in our marital villa. After Vincent was born, every weekend we brought him to the old house. Today was indeed Friday. On days like this, I'd pick Vincent up from kindergarten and bring him to the old house. Magnolia was always busy, rarely returning before 10 at night. This time I went straight to the old house. To my surprise, when I arrived, Magnolia was already there. I ignored her, heading straight to the second floor. Magnolia stopped me, asking inexplicably, "Did you like the birthday gift?" I stared at her. Didn't she know I'd refused the gift? But that wasn't surprising. She treated me like air. How could she remember whether I accepted it? I didn't want to talk to her, only nodding perfunctorily. But then, to my surprise, I heard her instruct, "Vincent is carving a peace talisman for Theodore. Go upstairs and help him finish it." A birthday gift with such a condition attached. I let out a cold laugh, deliberately pushing past Magnolia, saying nothing and heading straight upstairs. Magnolia frowned, but said nothing more. I reached the second floor. Vincent was sitting at his desk carving with a knife, deeply focused. I approached, only to see before him a completed peace talisman. He was carefully recarving each step. Perhaps my footsteps disturbed Vincent. He looked up at me, but in the next second, he hurriedly grabbed the finished talisman from the table, lips pursed tightly, saying to me, "Father, Mother told me to carve this peace talisman for Uncle Theodore. You can't steal it." My heart ached, as if sliced by a knife. I couldn't accept that the child I once treasured more than life itself looked at me like a thief. Looking at Vincent's face, so like Magnolia's, I suddenly felt suffocated beyond endurance. You don't need to guard against me like that. I've never wanted to take what belongs to others. Besides, your mother and I are about to divorce. Soon Uncle Theodore will be your new father. Victor Wong. A cold shout from Magnolia rang out behind me. Talking nonsense to our son like that? Are you still a qualified father? This was probably the longest sentence Magnolia had ever said to me. I turned, looking at her cold face, smirking faintly. "Yes, I'm not qualified, so find him a father who is." With that, I walked toward the door. "Victor Wing." Magnolia grabbed my hand, her voice a chilling warning. But at that moment, Vincent's smartwatch rang. The boy excitedly urged, "Mother, Uncle Theodore's video call is coming." In the next second, Magnolia let go of my hand. I watched her walk over to take the call, her once cold face now breaking into a smile. I suddenly felt utterly weary, saying nothing, returning to the living room, closing the door, locking it. The room was cold, though it was June. It felt like being buried in a frozen coffin, yet there was a familiar sense of peace. From the moment I handed the divorce agreement to Magnolia, I was ready to burn all bridges. If the rest of my life meant living like a caged bird, I'd rather die. That night my dreams were chaotic, but the next morning, my biological clock still woke me at 5 a.m. Before, at this hour, I get up to prepare breakfast for Magnolia and Vincent. It was clear to everyone, Vincent didn't need me as a father, yet Mrs. Lee kept forcing me to come to the old house. In the Lee family's eyes, I was never truly part of this family, but needed or not, I still had to appear where I belonged. And during this weekend, my best friend immediately dragged me to a campus to see some pretty girls, saying it would help me vent my frustrations. The 18-year-old girls were adept at pleasing, calling me big brother all day, giving me a sense of being fully cared for. After a few days at the sports campus, my mood genuinely improved. My friend lingered, reluctant to leave. "So, see how great these girls are. Doesn't Magnolia, that old head, seem utterly unlovable now?" I laughed. "Yeah, no love left." Seeing me play along, my friend got more excited. "That's right, that's the spirit. I told you long ago to divorce her. Look at the girls we've met. Which one isn't better than cold, heartless Magnolia? When the time comes, just pick a sweet, obedient girl to love. Marry her and want that, be blissful." I was laughing, about to chime in, when a cough sounded behind me. I turned and saw Magnolia, with her assistant standing not far away. The assistant looked at me nervously, while Magnolia stood against the light, her expression unreadable. But to me, she'd always be expressionless. I pretended not to see her pulling my friend to leave. I thought Magnolia wouldn't care about this. But unexpectedly, she stepped forward and stopped me. "There's a party you need to attend. Come with me with that." She didn't let me refuse, pulling me straight to the car. In the car, I was still a bit stunned. In my memory, Magnolia always treated me like air, with no emotions or opinions about me. This assertiveness from her, I'd only seen in private moments before, when she'd cling to me relentlessly. Just as I gathered my thoughts, I heard her suddenly speak Victor Wong. "For a family like ours, what's the most important thing?" I was taken aback, realizing she was countering what my friend and I had said. So love wasn't important. Pain or hurt didn't matter either. I laughed in anger, for the first time coldly confronting her. "But your suitability is my suffering, Magnolia Lee. What right do you have to demand this of me?" Magnolia stared at me for a few seconds but said nothing. I no longer wanted to waste energy guessing her emotions. I closed my eyes to rest. At the party venue, I learned it was just a small gathering among Magnolia's friends. She'd never brought me to such events before. Honestly, I didn't like her friends much. After all, they always looked down on me, calling me a pretender. So I didn't smile the entire time, just quietly drank a few glasses of wine. Then, slightly drunk, I stood to go to the restroom. After I left, Magnolia chatted with her friends. Someone eagerly asked Magnolia, "Your husband not only didn't smile today, but dared to give you the cold shoulder. Yeah, there's talk outside that you two are divorcing. Looks like it's true." Magnolia frowned, who said, "I want a divorce. I'm married. My husband for this lifetime can only be Victor Wong." Her friends were shocked. "Are you serious?" Magnolia glanced at them, saying nothing, leaving them puzzled. After a while, they spoke. Magnolia, "Remember Mr. Theodore, your partner in AI development? He was like you, never caring about his husband. Didn't let him near the company either. No one knew that man was his husband. In the end, his husband, fed up, divorced him. They say he still hasn't won him back. If you plan to spend your life with Victor Wong, I, as your friend, advise you to care for him more. Otherwise, watch out, your husband might end up like his, demanding a divorce from you." Magnolia's hand paused as she swirled her wine glass, but she replied coldly, confidently he wouldn't. At that moment, in the restroom, I received a message from my divorce lawyer. "Mr. Victor Wong, the divorce papers for you and Ms. Magnolia Lee have completed the entrusted procedures. You can come to the law firm to pick them up anytime." The day had finally come. I hurriedly took a car to the law firm, holding the divorce papers I'd longed for. I flipped through them, reading over and over. From this moment, I no longer needed to treat Magnolia's words as gospel, nor live under the Lee family's scrutiny, nor force a smile to maintain the Lee son-in-law facade. Lying that I was truly happy. I could go bungee jumping, race cars, travel. I had so much I could do. Leaving the law firm, my friend said to celebrate my freedom, we should first eat a meal I was never allowed to eat before. He took me to a night market stall. Milk tea, grilled meat, ice cream, eat whatever I wanted. Smelling the tantalizing aroma of food and meat, I finally felt the meaning of living. That night we ate grilled meat, drank beer, danced on the roadside, laughing loudly with abandon. In the end, I laughed until tears streamed down my face. The burden that had weighed on me for 10 years finally dissolved. Perhaps because I'd been suppressed too long, the pain and resentment in my heart needed to be released. Fueled by alcohol, I unblocked Vincent Wang's number and called him. As soon as the call connected, with red eyes I said, "Vincent Wang, let me tell you, even if you don't like me, I'm still your real father. The one who cared for you day and night when you were sick was me. The one who helped you with homework every day was me. Since you called me cruel for Theodore's sake, I'm no longer your father. Don't call me father anymore. You're not worthy." "Victor Wong, what are you saying?" Magnolia's cold voice came through the phone. I froze, realizing the boy was likely with her. I immediately sneered, "President Lee, if you have time to lecture me, manage your son better. Did you know? The night before my birthday, your son told me to divorce you, to make way for Theodore. Funnily enough, that was the longest sentence Hayes ever said to me. Magnolia Lee, congratulations. It fulfilled all your wishes. With that, I blocked Vincent Wong again. After a drunken night with my friend, the next morning I booked a flight abroad. I knew I'd been impulsive yesterday. Moreover, once news of the divorce spread, the Wong family would surely not let me off. They might even force me to beg Magnolia to take me back, threatening to drag me into another arranged marriage with a noble family. I had to leave this city never to return. Saying goodbye to my friend, I packed a simple bag and left. Unexpectedly at the door, I saw the Maybach parked nearby. Magnolia led Vincent Wong out of the car, walking toward me. Vincent Wong apologized to your father. Vincent, his face pale, clutched his shirt, bowing to me. Father, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have insulted you. I shouldn't have told you to divorce mother. I know I was wrong. Can you forgive me? I said coldly, no need for apologies. I vented all I needed to. There's nothing left to care about. But unexpectedly, after my words, Magnolia spoke. Vincent's apology isn't enough. I'm also responsible. It was rare to hear Magnolia take the initiative to apologize, but the wounds already inflicted, could a single apology erase them? No, but I remembered in my bag was something I meant to send to Magnolia before heading to the airport. I said bluntly, Magnolia Lee, if you truly feel guilty, drive me to the airport. Magnolia looked puzzled. There are no Lee family events abroad recently. Where are you flying to? I sneered. Does it mean that unless it's for the Lee family, I can't have my own affairs? That's not what I meant. For the first time, Magnolia looked flustered, but I didn't care, because it was she who dragged me into the Lee family's cage. Now she had to see me off, cutting the final tie between us with her own hands. On the way to the airport, no one spoke. Before getting out of the car, I handed Magnolia an exquisite box, the final gift. Magnolia was stunned, though puzzled by final. She still took it. Thank you. Vincent couldn't help but lift his small face. Father, where's Monet? Smiled. Yours is in there too. After all, this was a gift both mother and son would enjoy. They'd surely love it. Open this gift in an hour. By then the plane will have taken off. Magnolia, rare for her, smiled at me, even saying come back soon. I smiled, not responding. Turning to leave, I wouldn't come back. I had to find my freedom. Magnolia watched my solitary figure enter the airport, and inexplicable unease rising in her heart. She gripped the gift box, about to open it, but Vincent stopped her. Mother, we promised father to open it an hour from now. We have to keep our word. For the next hour, Magnolia held documents but couldn't read a word, glancing at the gift box countless times. Finally, the hour passed. Vincent eagerly opened the box. Mother, what did father give us? So mysterious. With a click, the box opened. Magnolia turned her head, just in time to see a divorce paper lying quietly inside. Though Vincent was only 3, had begun early learning. Looking at the divorce paper in the box, he mumbled to himself, finally saying, Mother, what's a divorce paper? Didn't father say it was a gift? Is this little booklet a gift? Magnolia's mind buzzed. She dropped the documents, standing up, her elbow knocking over the coffee cup beside her. Hot coffee spilled onto her tailored suit, leaving a dark stain. But she didn't notice. She only took the box from Vincent's hands. She didn't realize her hands were trembling. The red booklet with silver lettering lay there silently, like a shadow always present in the house, yet deliberately ignored. For some reason, a sudden overwhelming fear surged in her heart. She felt that if she opened this divorce paper, something would be lost forever. Having navigated the business world for years, she wasn't one to stay calm before a collapsing mountain, but Magnolia Lee absolutely had stronger self-control than most. Yet this time, she was uncharacteristically panicked. Her trembling fingers slowly picked up the red booklet. Taking several deep breaths, she dared to open it. The moment she saw her name and Victor Wang's, her deep dark eyes widened suddenly. She could hardly believe her eyes. With a thud, She grabbed the divorce paper, intending to call Victor Wong immediately. But then she remembered he was likely on the plane. Frustration welled up inside her. Suppressing the urge to confront Victor Wong directly, she called her assistant, track his whereabouts, find out where he's flying today, and bring him back to me immediately. Also, find out who handled the divorce papers for me and him. No divorce agreement, no lawsuit filed. How could there be a divorce? In her voice, there was a panic and anger she herself didn't recognize. Rarely had she shown such strong emotions. The assistant on the other end trembled. Having worked at the company since joining, always by Magnolia's side, had never seen her display such intense feelings. Even when rivals crushed them, or the company's market value lost billions, President Lee had never been this angry. Divorce could it be? It was because of Victor Wong, a man who seemed to have no presence at all. The assistant shook his head, feeling nothing but disbelief. Yet he kept his composure, merely responding with a word before going about his tasks. Magnolia rested her hands on her hips, pacing back and forth in the vast office. The unease in her heart grew fiercer by the moment. That unease refused to dissipate. Finally, she picked up her phone, sending a verification message to me, the one who had blocked her. What's the deal with the divorce papers? You're a grown man. Why play such a malicious prank? Message me back when you land. Vincent and I are very worried about you. She paused for a long time, her fingers tapped on the screen, continuing to type. If there's a problem, we can sit down and talk. We can discuss it properly. There's no need for this. You're a father now, not a child anymore. All her messages sank into silence. Magnolia slumped into the executive chair, rubbing her temples in exhaustion. Vincent Wong, quietly playing with wooden blocks nearby, lifted his small face, naively asking mother, "Father, is this gift meant to divorce you?" Divorce? What is it? Other people's husbands in despair divorce them. They say he still hasn't won her back. If you plan to spend your life with Victor Wong, your friend advises you to care for him more. Otherwise, beware your husband might like hers. Demand a divorce from you. The words of her friends and son flooded her mind. Magnolia's head felt a stifling breath caught in her chest, neither rising nor falling. It left her heart in turmoil. After a long while, she struggled to speak. Victor Wong, are you despairing of me too? The wait always stretched endlessly. Hadn't the plane landed yet? Victor Wong, where have you gone? Magnolia didn't know how many times she checked her watch, how many messages she sent, but from start to finish there was no reply. A sudden surge of resentment welled up in her heart. She and I were clearly so well suited. For 5 years we had lived well together. Why would he suddenly divorce me and leave so quietly like that? Did you know? The night before my birthday, your son told me to divorce you, to make way for Theodore. Funnily enough, that was the longest sentence he ever spoke to me. Magnolia Lee, congratulations. It fulfilled everyone's wishes. In her mind, my voice from that phone call suddenly echoed. Magnolia Lee broke into a cold sweat. At that moment, her phone rang. Without hesitation, she answered, not even glancing at the caller's name. Victor Wong, you finally called me. I sent you so many messages. Why didn't you reply? The other side was silent for a few seconds before speaking. President Lee. It's Magnolia looked at the phone screen. The sliver of strength she had mustered vanished once more. She rubbed her temples, her voice low. Sorry, I was too hasty. So any news of him yet? The assistant hesitated, swallowing hard, slowly saying, here's the thing. President Lee, we found out. He bought a plane ticket abroad today, but the onward travel information after landing, we couldn't track, so we don't know exactly which country he went to. The assistant's voice grew quieter. Magnolia's face darkened like a storm cloud. After a long pause, she asked hoarsely, and the divorce papers? Have you found out anything? The assistant nodded on the other end, then realized Magnolia couldn't see, quickly adding, we've found out. The divorce agreement was signed by you personally. The verification department and legal team reviewed the signature and contents. There's no issue. The anger she had suppressed for so long finally overpowered her reason. Magnolia's voice was, "I see no issue. It does that mean?" The assistant fell silent for a moment, slowly explaining. "In the divorce agreement, he didn't claim any of your assets. He left with practically nothing. The shared marital assets, his properties and shares, were all allocated to Master Vincent. He said it was the provision he owed to Master Vincent. He didn't take your assets. He didn't claim custody of Master Vincent." The assistant was sweating profusely, wiping his forehead. After all, having faced countless high-stakes matters with Magnolia, he knew plenty of secrets about powerful families, but he had never seen anyone divorce so cleanly and decisively. Others, when divorcing, would fight tooth and nail to strip the other side bare. But Victor Wong, he left silently without a word. Was he truly indifferent or just too weak? The assistant was lost in thought. Magnolia hung up the phone. She gripped the phone tightly, unable to calm herself. She couldn't understand. To her, the marriage had been perfectly fine. How had it suddenly crumbled? After a long silence, she let out a heavy sigh, not knowing if she was asking herself or the air. "Victor Wong, what exactly were you dissatisfied with?" As she pondered, the office door cracked open slightly. Vincent Wong poked his head in, his short legs shuffling inside. The boy clung tightly to Magnolia's leg, his eyes lifted with worrying. "Mother, I asked Uncle Theodore. The divorce paper father gave us means I can have a new father. Mother, hurry and marry Uncle Theodore. I want Uncle Theodore to be my new father." Before hearing such words, Magnolia would dismiss them as childish nonsense, but now they grated harshly on her ears. Could it be that Victor Wong, because of his son's words, wanted to divorce her? At this thought, she couldn't help but frown, gritting her teeth. "You're only 3 years old. What do you know? Don't say such things again. Your father is your only father. There's no such thing as a new father." Scolded by his mother, Vincent froze, his lips pursed tightly. With a loud wah, he burst into tears. "I want a new father. I want a new father. I want Uncle Theodore to be my new father. I don't want my old father. He's always like a male servant. He's no good at all." Magnolia's anger boiled over. She lifted Vincent up, spanking his bottom once. "Who taught you to say such things?" She should have realized sooner. Vincent was only 3. If no one had whispered in his ear, how would he know about divorce? How would he call his father a male servant? The spank wasn't hard, but Vincent seemed unable to bear it, running straight out. "I hate you, mother. You won't let me have a new father. I'm not coming back." Magnolia, frustrated and flustered, tried to pull him back, but her phone rang again. It was Theodore calling. Hesitating for 2 seconds between grabbing Vincent or answering the call, Magnolia chose the phone first. As soon as the call connected, Theodore's voice came through. "Magnolia, I heard from Vincent that you and Victor Wong divorced. What's this about? Don't tell me it's just childish talk." Magnolia let out a breath. "There's a misunderstanding. I'm not divorcing Victor Wong. Anything else?" Theodore was silent for a moment, his voice tinged with disappointment. "No, just that we said today. We'd take Vincent to the amusement park to see fireworks. Since I hadn't heard from you too, I just wanted to check." Magnolia showed a hint of guilt. "Sorry, I forgot. Let's go another time." When Magnolia put down the phone, Vincent Wong had vanished. She didn't think much of it. With so many servants in the villa, could they really lose track of a 3-year-old? But Vincent Wong disappeared right under everyone's noses. No one saw how he left the villa. Even the cameras outside only captured the boy's small figure walking alone. Magnolia led a search, nearly turning the city upside down, but found no trace of Vincent. She called my number relentlessly, but the phone only repeated, "The number you've dialed is switched off. Please try again later." Left with no choice, she told her assistant to track down my best friend's number. "Hello, this is Magnolia Lee. Has Victor Wong contacted you? If you have any news of him, I hope you'll tell him immediately, because he demanded a divorce from me. Vincent has gone missing. If he has any sense of duty as a father, I hope he'll return at once." But before she could finish, my best friend interrupted in irritation. Stop, 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 your son's missing, call the police. Why look for Victor Wong? What does he have, some psychic link with the kid? Come back and pinpoint the target instantly. Teleport straight to that ungrateful brat. That's ridiculous. And saying the kid's missing because of the divorce. He demanded the divorce because you all pushed him to it. Divorce was the right move. He should have divorced long ago. You and that ungrateful kid, neither of you are any good. The phone clicked off, but it rang again soon after. It was Theodore. Magnolia answered, only catching. Magnolia, save me. Someone's trying to kidnap Vincent. Let Vincent go. Don't be scared, Uncle Theodore is careful. The call cut off abruptly. Magnolia immediately ordered a trace on Theodore's phone signal. The team rushed to the location. Theodore and Vincent Wong were unconscious, lying on a roadside embankment. Theodore was covered in scratches, looking utterly wretched. Vincent, held tightly in his arms, was unharmed except for dirt on his face. Everyone present was moved by the scene. Magnolia clenched her fists at her side, sending both to the ambulance first. Watching the red and blue lights fade into the distance, she finally said to the assistant beside her, investigate Theodore. What Hayes been doing lately? Who Hayes met? Don't overlook any clues. The assistant froze for a moment, then quickly understood. He and President Lee had turned the city upside down and couldn't find Master Vincent. How did Theodore find him? With so many servants in the villa, how could a 3-year-old like Master Vincent slip away unnoticed? If it was truly a kidnapping, why didn't the kidnappers demand a ransom? Why abandon them on the roadside? Magnolia, a veteran of the business world, couldn't possibly miss such obvious holes. Not long after, Magnolia received evidence that Theodore had orchestrated the kidnapping. Looking at the documents in her hand, she remained silent for a long time, her cold eyes clouded with haze, her aura chillingly terrifying. Withdraw the report from the police, this can't leak. Destroy the evidence. I don't want a third person to know. To the public, say Theodore saved Vincent. The assistant looked incredulous. President Lee, you're covering for the mastermind who kidnapped your son. But before he could process it, Magnolia's figure disappeared down the hospital corridor. Magnolia pushed open the hospital room door, seeing Theodore leaning against the bed, his face pale. She couldn't help but frown, her gaze tinged with scrutiny. Theodore coughed weakly twice, deliberately showing the wounds on his hand, frowning with concern. How's Vincent? Is the boy okay? He's so young. This must have traumatized him deeply. It's all Victor Wang's fault, leaving without a word, not even caring about his son. How can there be such an irresponsible father? No, I have to check on Vincent. He spoke, trying to get out of bed, but as he passed Magnolia, she yanked him back sharply. Magnolia suppressed her usual elegance. Victor Wong is my husband. Whether he's a qualified father doesn't need an outsider's judgment. Theodore looked up at Magnolia's cold face, momentarily stunned. The face that was always gentle with him now held no trace of a smile, cold enough to startle. He couldn't help but clench his fists, palms sweaty, his eyes flickering with guilt. Magnolia, with our years of friendship, how am I an outsider? Then, softening his tone, I was too hasty, spoke out of turn. But this kidnapping was truly awful. Even I, an adult, was terrified. If watched Vincent grow up, I can't help but feel for him. Magnolia's hand at her side tightened slightly, her gaze on Theodore cold with suspicion. After a long pause, she asked, if you found it so awful and terrifying, why did you hire people to kidnap Vincent for this self-directed charade? Theodore's pale face froze instantly. He blinked innocently, feigning confusion. Magnolia, what are you talking about? I don't understand. Magnolia didn't explain, her gaze on him, flashing with complexity and disappointment. If destroyed the evidence for you, don't appear before Vincent again. He'll send you abroad. He'll arrange your life there. Don't come back. With that, she turned to leave, but Theodore lunged, wrapping his arms tightly around her waist. Magnolia, don't send me away. If I did something wrong, I can change. We've been together all these years. I can't live without you. Magnolia remained unmoved, grabbing his wrist and pulling it away. Theodore panicked. Magnolia, why? I admit I was hasty this time, but you and Victor Wong are divorced. I just wanted to marry the woman I love. What's wrong with that? I don't care that Vincent is another man's son. You'll treat him well in the future. Magnolia gripped Theodore's wrist, flinging it away. She frowned, her cold eyes full of doubt. The woman you love should be my late sister, shouldn't it? Theodore's face paled instantly, his lips trembling. What are you saying? I've always loved you. All these years you've been by my side, caring for me, protecting me. You remember my birthday better than I do. You're always there when I need you. You treat me better than your husband. Don't you love me? In that moment, an invisible thread in my mind snapped. Magnolia released Theodore's hand, stepping back. I cared for you, only to fulfill my sister's dying wish. I have no romantic feelings for you. I won't marry you. The private jet abroad will be ready today. Leave now. With that, Magnolia left the hospital room without looking back. And I, far away in Finland, knew nothing of this. I obtained a residency card in Finland, applied to a local university, planning to complete my unfinished dream of becoming a diplomatic interpreter. Before starting school, I used my savings from years past to buy a small house. They say in winter here, you can see the aurora. I was eagerly looking forward to it. Living alone helped me manage my time better. I self-studied Finnish, while also learning German, Japanese, and Spanish. In my second year of university, I secured a special training project for international students. In at least 3 years, I could work at the Finnish embassy, becoming a diplomat. In my busy life of study and work, I rarely thought of the past. My marriage to Magnolia Lee became a distant memory. Here I wasn't the Lee family's son-in-law, nor Magnolia Lee's husband, nor Vincent Wang's father. Here, I was just me, a fully independent person. In Finland, people didn't need to follow a rigid path. Go to college, get a job, get married. Here, after high school, people could freely choose what to do, work, marry, or do nothing. All were accepted. Their academic eligibility was preserved forever, until they chose to return to university and start studying again. So, I had no trouble connecting with classmates. Many were my age, some even older. For years of studying and living in Finland brought me an unprecedented sense of ease and joy. I made many friends. In my 5th year in Finland, I successfully joined the Finnish embassy, becoming a diplomatic interpreter. But I didn't know that for 6 years, Magnolia Lee never stopped searching for me. In the president's office of the Lee Corporation, the assistant beamed, President Lee, we have news of him. He's at the Finnish embassy. Magnolia sprang to her feet, her face rare for her showing a hint of joy. The assistant couldn't help but gape in surprise. In 6 years, he hadn't seen President Lee smile since my divorce from her. Even signing billion-dollar contracts, she never showed such a smile. Magnolia stood, about to step out, but turned back at the door. I need detailed information about him now. Get it done immediately. Her chest brimming with joy, Magnolia couldn't help but smile faintly. She looked at the family photo of 3 on her desk, her fingers lingering over my gentle face. I will clear up the misunderstanding between us. I'll bring you back to me. I never actively sought out information about Magnolia Lee and Vincent Wang's current lives. To me, they must have gotten their wish, a husband and father as they desired. I was busy attending international conferences daily, translating documents, living a full and bustling life, until one day, my boss brought a new energy plan in Chinese and placed it before me. Little Wang, in our department, you're the most capable. This plan, the Finnish Trade Promotion Agency values highly. I hope you can complete the translation as quickly as possible. I looked at the thick stack of documents, smiling easily. Don't worry, boss, I guarantee I'll get it done. Over the years, I honed my professional skills relentlessly, just to tackle tasks others couldn't, constantly pushing my limits. I loved challenges, But when I opened the plan, I realized it was from the Lee Corporation. Magnolia Lee. Her familiar shadow resurfaced in my mind. I shook my head, sighing deeply, reassuring myself the Lee Corporation's projects span the globe. Her launching a new project in Finland was perfectly normal. It must just be a coincidence. Staying up several nights, I brought the translated plan and knocked on my boss' office door. The boss flipped through a few pages, nodding repeatedly, as expected of the talent praised by top leadership. Your workability is extraordinary. In such a short time, you completed this difficult task and did it quickly and well. Little Wong, you're truly a champion in our translation department. Having worked with the boss for 2 years, I knew his style. Once he started praising, a tough task was surely waiting. But who doesn't love compliments? Most colleagues in the department fell for his flattery and boarded the pirate ship. Boss, no need to beat around the bush. Just assign the task. Keep praising, and my ego will shoot to the stars. The boss chuckled, unscrewing his tea thermos. The Lee Corporation from your country is coming to Finland for a site visit. The Finnish side values this highly. This time, the diplomatic translation task, if signed you up for. We can't just focus on work. Life needs balance too. I remember you're still single, right? I heard the Lee Corporation's representative is young and talented. Also single. Take this chance to get to know each other. The Lee Corporation called it be Magnolia Lee. My heart skipped a beat. No way it's that coincidental. The Lee Corporation's representative coming to Finland. My boss led me to the airport to pick them up. Little Wong, the Finnish side, has prepared a dinner for the Lee Corporation's representative. The atmosphere won't be too formal. Translate with ease. Don't be too nervous. Later, I'll introduce you to the Lee Corporation's representative. As soon as he finished, the boss waved behind me. President Lee over here. When the boss pulled me to stand before Magnolia Lee, I was still dazed, unable to process. 6 years had passed, and time seemed to have left no mark on her. Still as cold as ever, silent and reserved, until the boss nudged me, smiling brightly as he introduced President Lee. Let me introduce you. This is Comrade Victor Wong from the Finnish Embassy's Translation Department. Your visit this time will be handled by him for translation. Don't let Little Wang's youth and good looks fool you. He's fluent in 5 languages, our finest diplomatic interpreter, and still single, by the way. Magnolia Lee in front of me stared intently, her eyes probing, carrying an indescribable emotion. I smiled, extending my hand, polite but distant. President Lee, a pleasure. She looked at me for a few seconds, her eyes flickering with complex feelings. After a long pause, she shook my hand. Meeting Magnolia Lee was unexpected. I just wanted to handle it quickly and withdraw my hand, but she gripped it tightly, not letting go. After 2 attempts to pull away, I couldn't help but frown, my voice lowering. President Lee, what's your intention? The boss beside us looked at her, then at me, seeming to sense the odd atmosphere, quickly mediating. Mr. Wang's charm and unique aura always leave an impression. It seems President Lee is no exception. Magnolia's eyes darkened. She let go, rare for her, forcing a faint smile. Indeed, she said nothing more, releasing my hand as I wished. The dinner began promptly. I paid her no mind, even if it was just a brief interaction. So what? She surely wasn't here for me. I steadied myself, sitting beside Magnolia Lee. In Finland, about 934 of the population speaks Finnish as their native language. This agglutinative language, verbs, nouns, and adjectives all inflect by case. A synthetic language, where grammatical relationships between words are mainly expressed through morphological changes. I calmly translated each sentence, conveying Magnolia's words to the Finnish representative, and the Finnish representative's words to her. When listening to me, she tilted her head slightly, nodding often. Finland has supportive policies for clean energy. High-tech enterprises can receive legal advice and access to channels regarding market entry regulations and local laws. At this point, I couldn't help but pause briefly. In our 5 years of draining marriage, Magnolia had never truly listened to me. A pang of sorrow rose in my heart, not for her, but for myself. For the years I was caged as the Lee fanless son-in-law, my soul unfree. Fortunately, I had finally broken free. Magnolia's voice continued. I'd like to know about Finland's tax and labor laws. Are there any special requirements? Her voice was low, deliberate. After each sentence, she quietly looked at me, her gaze calm and focused. I instinctively avoided her eyes. Work was work. I did my duty, no different from my 6 years in diplomatic translation. The dinner went smoothly, both sides negotiating successfully. As we parted in Finland's snowy wind, I wrapped my scarf, put on leather gloves, and shook hands briefly with Magnolia. Presently, a pleasure working with you. Good be with that. I turned to leave. My long boots crunched in the snow. The moment I opened the car door, a voice called from behind Victor Wong. I stopped but didn't turn around, quietly waiting for her next words. After a long pause, the cold wind numbing my fingertips, her voice finally sounded again. Don't you have anything to say to me? I don't know if it was my imagination, but her hoarse voice carried an inexplicable grievance. My heart trembled slightly, thinking it was just the chill of the Finnish night. President Lee, if completed the translation for the dinner. Beyond that, I have nothing to say. But Magnolia seemed unwilling to let me leave like that. Her usually cold, controlled tone now held a hint of urgency. Victor Wong, you quietly divorced me back then, even if you didn't consider me. What about Vincent's feelings? You haven't seen him in 6 years. Don't you miss him at all? I turned, smiling faintly, my expression unchanged. A child who dismisses his father's sacrifices. What's there to miss? Besides, he must be happy now, with his new father, right? Snow fell on Magnolia's hair, her long black dress making her figure even more solitary. She frowned, her red lips pursed slightly, her gaze on me tinged with confusion. Then she sighed as if conceding, stepping closer to me in the snowy wind, her voice rare and gentle. Vincent doesn't dismiss your sacrifices. He was just too young, not knowing how to love others. He doesn't have a so-called new father. His father can only be you. That's beyond question. Too young, not knowing how to love. I looked at Magnolia's face, my eyes tracing her features, finally resting on her full red lips. I couldn't help but find it slightly amusing. Does knowing how to love depend on age? Magnolia and Vincent remembered Theodore's birthday, painstakingly crafting gifts for him. How could they not know how to love? They just didn't know how to love me. I leaned against the car, quietly observing her, unable to stop thinking if I were still her husband now. Would she stand before me like today, calmly saying so much to me? I shook my head, smiling self-mockingly. Magnolia frowned in confusion. What are you laughing at? I ignored her gaze, my smile open and carefree, without a hint of sarcasm. Hearing something funny, don't you laugh. Magnolia Lee, whether we're divorced or not, we're not in a relationship to reminisce about the past. You know so little about me, it's pitiful. And I have no interest in recalling a past tied to you. With that, I ignored her hesitant expression, got in the car, floored the gas, and drove off. Back home, after washing my face, I collapsed onto the bed. Perhaps because I saw Magnolia today, past images resurfaced in my mind. In our 5 years of marriage, I tried to be a good husband, a good father, but never truly myself. In 6 years of living and studying alone abroad, I rarely thought of the past. Most of the time I made up for myself. The college life I never had. The youth I missed. I had long forgotten whose husband I was, whose father. But Magnolia's appearance today forced me to recall memories I deliberately buried. I clutched the blanket tightly, rolling over in the cold and warmth, a deep fatigue rising in my heart. I quickly fell into sleep. In the middle of the night, the neighbor's hunting dog barked wildly, waking me up. In my dream, Magnolia's cold gaze and Vincent's wariness dissolved before my eyes. I took a few deep breaths to clear my mind, put on clothes, and went to the window to check. There was Magnolia still in that long black dress, standing outside my house. I didn't know how she found my address, only finding it slightly amusing. Finland's nights with temperatures averaging -20 or 30 degrees. In her state, if she stood outside all night, I wouldn't doubt finding an ice statue of her by morning. Though I didn't know what she wanted, I opened the door to invite my ex-wife in. After all, I didn't want her freezing to death at my doorstep, causing me trouble. In the warm house, out of courtesy, I handed Magnolia a cup of coffee. Her fingers were red from the cold, her whole body trembling uncontrollably. She held the warm coffee with both hands, taking a long time to exhale, smiling at me. "Thank you." My gaze wavered slightly. She rarely smiled at me. Most of the time she was cold, expressionless. I couldn't help but frown, my voice cooling. "Magnolia, what do you want?" Magnolia lowered her eyes, the frost on her lashes slowly melting, turning into glistening droplets, hanging in her eyes, making her look gentle and fragile. Her lash trembled, a drop falling, perhaps because it was too cold. Her voice carried a faint trembling weakness. "I want to know why we divorced." I frowned, staring at her face. She met my gaze unflinchingly, her eyes full of genuine confusion and bewilderment. But my heart churned with mixed emotions. So everything I went through in those 5 years was truly completely ignored by her. I let out a breath, suddenly regretting letting her in. I should have turned off the lights and gone to sleep, letting her freeze outside. She swallowed hard, as if hesitating for a long time, finally uttering to unfamiliar words, "Victor Wong." How ironic! The first time she seriously called my name was 6 years after our divorce. I pulled the blanket over me, leaning into the single sofa, my gaze on Magnolia, carrying a hint of mockery. "Magnolia, have you ever thought that perhaps because you don't know the reason for our divorce, that's exactly why we divorced?" Magnolia froze for a moment, her eyes showing rare confusion. She was always like this, witty, successful in her career, sharp-minded, handling everything with ease, yet indifferent to everything around her, as if no matter how things unfolded, they couldn't escape her control. Perhaps I was one of the few exceptions. For some reason, my eyes suddenly burned, but I quickly adjusted my posture, suppressing the bitterness in my heart. "Magnolia, before the divorce, I told you many times. I said if you and Vincent liked Theodore so much, I'd agree to the divorce. I'd also give up custody of Vincent, leaving with nothing. The shared marital assets would all go to Vincent's name as the provision this unloved father left for him." These words I said clearly to you, word by word. At this point, I crossed my legs, leaning toward Magnolia. "But Magnolia, do you remember?" Her hands tightened around the coffee cup, her brows furrowed, as if trying to recall something. But the confusion in her eyes betrayed her. She remembered nothing. I knew this would be the outcome, because she never truly listened to a single word Victor Wong said as her husband. To her back then, Victor Wong was just a nominal spouse, the homemaker, Theodore's male servant. A surge of resentment choked my chest. A wicked impulse rose in me. I didn't want Magnolia to feel at ease. But then I thought, no matter what I did, it probably wouldn't hurt her, because she didn't care. Her persistence this time was likely only because I'd escaped her orbit, challenging her authority, and she loved controlling everything. Magnolia lowered her head, her voice full of guilt and disappointment. "I'm sorry. I really don't remember you saying those things. Maybe I was busy then. But is this the reason you divorced me? I really can't accept this reason." I sipped my coffee. In the endless winter day, ready to confront her, I raised an eyebrow, smiling. "What about the perfume scent on your clothes every night you came home? Is that reason enough for me to divorce you?" Magnolia's face stiffened. She seemed to finally grasp the conflict in my words, but shook her head in disbelief. "Theodore divorced me because of him." The surprise in her voice grew stronger, as if divorcing over Theodore was more absurd than divorcing because she didn't listen to me. I just sipped my coffee, nodding lightly. "Exactly. You came home every day with Theodore," Vincent kept saying. He wanted Uncle Theodore as his new father. Should I have clung shamelessly to the title of Lee family son-in-law I never wanted. Magnolia's face rare for her turned pale. So you suspected I was cheating? I raised a finger waving it before her. Not suspected. When you brought Theodore to parties, letting people introduce him without restraint. When your friends mocked me, saying you and Theodore were better suited. When you signed the divorce agreement without even glancing at it. Whether you cheated or not no longer mattered. Divorcing you was because I didn't want to die trapped in the cage of being the Lee family's son-in-law. No one likes living with a mask, bound by rules until all edges are worn away. Being a pretender under the Lee family name, I never wanted that. Magnolia's lash trembled, silent for a long time. Perhaps she didn't expect me to say these things. Perhaps she didn't care about my true feelings. She just wanted to rationalize her failure, find a chance to reflect, sum up her experience. But to me, none of that was necessary, because she liked Theodore, remembered his birthday, carefully prepared gifts and surprises, rushed to meet him, listened to him attentively, knew his preferences like the back of her hand. She loved Theodore, so my failure wouldn't appear in her future married life. I glanced at my watch. 4:30 in the morning. If we weren't divorced, in half an hour, I'd have to get up to prepare breakfast for Magnolia and Vincent, pulling the blanket tighter. I spoke to dismiss her presidently. You've got the answers you wanted right. Please leave early. Before I finished, a clear solemn "I'm sorry" interrupted. I froze slightly. The word stuck in my throat unsaid. Magnolia stared at me, repeating slowly, "I'm sorry. I didn't know the details I overlooked caused you so much grievance. I was wrong. I apologize to you." I couldn't help but find it slightly amusing to make the lofty self-assured Magnolia late. Apologize. I must be a rare case. But immediately after, a hollow, lonely feeling gripped my chest. I suddenly felt a bit aggrieved. So when I laid bare the most ordinary truths of our 5 years of marriage before her, she too felt I was wrong. I quietly soothed my aching chest, suddenly finding that surge of anger fading. I could even make peace with the past. But there's one thing I don't agree with you on. Magnolia suddenly spoke, breaking my train of thought. I glanced at her. She continued, her eyes clear. I didn't cheat. I don't like Theodore. In her eyes, a flicker of guilt and longing shone clearly. I cared for him, always meeting his requests to fulfill my sister's dying wish. The reason I didn't correct others calling him my brother-in-law was because I thought if my sister were alive, he would truly be my brother-in-law. I waved my hand. It doesn't matter anymore. She seemed hurt by my indifference, her eyes showing a trace of pain, emphasizing, "No, this is very important. The 6 years you've been gone, Vincent and I have missed you dearly. I hope to clear the prejudice in your heart, to bring you back to our family." For a moment, I truly thought Magnolia was joking. I waited 10 years for freedom. Now she wanted me to return to the family. A trembling laugh escaped my chest. I couldn't help but laugh loudly. Magnolia's face showed a hint of confusion. She seemed genuinely unsure why I laughed. Or perhaps she had never seen me so authentic. I raised my hand, wiping the tears from laughing at the corner of my eyes, clutching my aching stomach, taking deep breaths to barely calm down. Magnolia Lee, are you joking? I worked so hard to divorce you. Now I have my own career. Why would I go back to the family? Besides, what would I go back for? To be a free homemaker? Or like a servant tending to your every need, running to your company every day with that laughable seafood porridge? You feel guilty toward your sister, want to fulfill her dying wish by caring for Theodore. Why drag me into it? After all, I don't owe your sister. I don't owe Theodore. And I certainly don't owe you. Magnolia tried to say more, but I had already walked to the door, flinging it open. The cold wind swept snow inside, the room's temperature dropping sharply. I gripped the door handle tightly, my voice as cold as the winter. Get out. Don't make me say it twice. Magnolia finally left, but I was utterly exhausted, unable to sleep. I stayed awake until dawn, forcing myself to rally. I went to work at the diplomatic translation department, But as soon as I reached the office, bad news arrived. The boss stood before me saying, "Seriously, little Wong, though you haven't worked here long, your proactive attitude and outstanding ability. This time the Lee Corporation from your country will launch a new energy project in Finland, highly beneficial to bilateral relations. The leaders of relevant Finnish departments want to take this opportunity. Accompany President Lee back to the country for the survey. We need an interpreter to join. If recommended you, this time you'll represent the diplomatic department to return. You've been away from home for 6 years. Take this chance to reunite with family." I listened with a smile, but inside my heart raced like galloping horses. It was all because of Magnolia Lee. Her arrival brought nothing but trouble. I forced a smile and stood up. "Rest assured, boss, I guarantee I'll complete the task." That afternoon, I, along with Magnolia Lee and the Finnish survey delegation, boarded a private plane back to the country. I don't know who arranged it, but Magnolia and I were separated only by an armrest. I rubbed my temples in exhaustion, turning away, refusing to look at her. Clearly, both of us had stayed up all night, but Magnolia's face showed no trace of fatigue. Not long after, a soft, thick blanket appeared over me. Magnolia's movements were meticulous, as if afraid to wake me, but I wasn't asleep. I just didn't want to look at her even once. To me, she was once someone I truly loved and admired, but also the shackles that bound me. The bond between us was severed the moment I signed the divorce papers. I just didn't expect. As soon as we disembarked, I'd see the child now tied to me only by blood. Vincent Wong, held by Madam Lee's hand, stood in the waiting area. 9 years old this year, he was no longer the chubby, fair toddler of old. He had grown taller, his eyes red and teary. The moment he saw me, he shouted loudly, "Father." The survey delegation leaders exchanged glances. Some quietly asked what was happening. I gave a measured smile, calmly responding, "This child probably couldn't find his father." Magnolia beside me darkened her expression, so she understood Finnish. Vincent wanted to run to me, but Madam Lee held him back. The dignified woman wouldn't let him make a scene and pulled him away. I had told Madam Lee her presence here wasn't out of kindness to reunite father and son. Perhaps she wanted to use Vincent to pressure me into something, or maybe not. Either way, I had no reason to comply anymore. Accompanying the Finnish delegation to visit the Lee Corporation went smoothly over the next few days. After all, in work, Magnolia never made mistakes. As soon as the survey concluded, she approached me. "Victor Wong, the work with the delegation is done. Would you like to come home to see Vincent? He misses you dearly." In my mind, a miniature version of Magnolia appeared, full of disdain and distance toward me. I shook my head. No need. He never liked me. Now, after 6 years away, he probably hates me even more. He likes Theodore. He wants him as his father. To fulfill your sister's dying wish, why not marry Theodore sooner? That way everyone wins. Lest your future husband has to help you care for your brother-in-law. Magnolia rubbed her temples, weary, sighing. "Victor Wong, must we talk like this?" I gave her a bland glance, casually saying, "Don't want to hear it." We could say nothing at all. With that, I packed my things and returned to the hotel. As for the Wong family home, there was no reason to go back. Knowing my best friend was in the country too, I was overjoyed, eagerly arranging to meet him. The moment we met, his eyes lit up. He grabbed my hand, looking me up and down several times, finally hugging me, exclaiming, "This is great. This is the real you. 6 years apart. Seeing you like this now, I'm truly happy for you." When good friends reunite, there's always endless talk. Once we started, hours passed in a blink. In the midst of lively conversation, my phone suddenly rang unexpectedly. An unfamiliar local number. I frowned, hesitating for a moment, but ultimately answered. A cautious female voice came through. "Hello. Is this Vincent Wang's father? I'm his homeroom teacher. Vincent got into a fight at school. I just called his mother. He told me to contact you." My friend interrupted, was annoyed, snatching my phone. "You've got the wrong number." Hung up. What's wrong with this Magnolia Lee? You two are divorced. You didn't even take custody. You've only been back a few days. She's really got too much time on her hands. Before he finished, the phone rang again. I answered once more. The teacher's voice was urgent, anxious. Vincent's father. Please come quickly. Don't let adult matters affect a child's psyche. Moreover, Vincent injured another child's head. The other parents are urgently demanding you bring him to the hospital. With no choice, my friend and I went to the school. In the teacher's office, several children stood with dirt-smeared faces, but the others had parents by their side. Only Vincent Wong stood alone. The parent of the injured child held their own, pointing at Vincent, scolding fiercely. So young yet so vicious. Didn't your father teach you not to hit others? Before the parent finished, the other children nearby giggled in a group. Vincent Wong has no father. Vincent Wang's father doesn't want him. Vincent Wong is fatherless. Vincent's eyes burned red with anger, like a young wolf, lunging to fight again. It was clear the Lee family had trained him in martial arts, but with parents shielding the others, he gained no advantage. The moment he fell to the ground, he saw me at the door, his eyes instantly red. I saw tears welling in his eyes, but he bit his lower lip hard, silently standing up. I ignored Vincent's stubbornness, stepping in, my gaze sweeping the room. I introduced myself briefly. I'm Victor Wong, Vincent Wang's biological father. His mother and I are divorced. I don't have custody. Regarding compensation, you can discuss it with his mother, Magnolia Lee. Vincent looked up at me, incredulous. In the corner of my eye, I saw him quickly lower his head to wipe his eyes. His movements swift, as if afraid I'd notice. This child, didn't he always urge me to divorce his mother? Where did these tears come from now? When I mentioned Magnolia Lee, the parents exchanged glances, their momentum fading. Magnolia Lee's name often dominated financial headlines. Few didn't know her. A small issue like this, even if she didn't handle it personally, would be easily resolved. But she kept pushing this onto me, thinking it would rekindle father-son bonds. She forgot that love requires reciprocity. Even parents don't always love their children unconditionally. I took a deep breath, pushing away the memory of Father Wong dragging me to that harsh academy. Vincent's father. Even if you're divorced from President Lee, Vincent's fighting. Don't you owe us an explanation? I nodded, my gaze lightly passing over Vincent. Why did you fight? Vincent stiffened, refusing to speak. Now, I no longer had the patience I did when he was young to coax him. Don't want to talk? Then wait for your mother to handle it. I've got things to do. I don't have time to waste with you. Before I finished, Vincent, like a furious little beast, eyes red, roared at me. They said I have no father. Are you satisfied now? Why didn't mother marry Uncle Theodore? He wouldn't abandon me like you did. I hate you, I hate you. I waited for his outburst to end, raising an eyebrow. When I was still married to your mother, you wanted Theodore as your father. Yelling at me then made sense. Now that I'm divorced from your mother, whoever you want as your father, go find them yourself. The parents exchanged looks, whispers buzzing in my ears. A kid that young urging his parents to divorce. No wonder his father doesn't want him. That Theodore guy, I think I've seen him. He's often with President Lee. The son's really been spoiled. I thought it was Mr. Theodore. Turns out it's the other man. Vincent, at this rebellious age, couldn't bear those words. He tried to bolt out, but after a few steps he turned back. Magnolia Lee with her assistant and bodyguards strode in quickly, her face expressionless, exuding a powerful presence. As soon as she arrived, the office felt more cramped. Her sharp gaze swept over, silencing everyone. What's going on here? The room fell quiet. No one spoke. Vincent seemed afraid of her too, lowering his head, barely breathing. I glanced at her blandly. Good, you're here. As the child's guardian, you should handle this. I'm leaving. The call of Victor Wong was left behind me. I strode out of the office. My friend was still waiting in the car. That ungrateful kid, why bother with him? You don't know after you left. He made a fuss demanding Theodore as his new father. Magnolia slapped him. Then he threatened to run away. He almost got kidnapped. They say Theodore risked his life to save him. Those two are quite a pair. My friend and I headed straight to a bar. The small school incident was quickly forgotten. I didn't expect, as my friend and I left the bar slightly drunk, to run into Magnolia and Vincent. She held Vincent's hand, uncertain how long they'd waited outside. The moment she saw me, her eyes trembled slightly, but she only said, "Victor Wong, we need to talk." Magnolia was the type who wouldn't stop until she got what she wanted. Not wanting to waste time arguing, I told my friend to take a cab back. I followed Magnolia and Vincent to their car. Vincent sat in the front, while Magnolia and I sat in the back. The atmosphere in the car was strangely heavy. I could almost hear the driver swallowing nervously. The car stopped in front of a restaurant. The driver politely opened the door, but Magnolia beat him to it. I ignored her outstretched hand, getting out on my own. Magnolia's extended fingers slowly curled back, finally clenching, looking somewhat lonely. The restaurant was where I'd booked a birthday party 6 years ago. 6 years ago, I invited Magnolia to celebrate together, but got no response. Even worse, she reserved the place for Theodore, leaving me without a meal. 6 years later, she reserved it for me. Too bad I no longer needed it. I sat down, cutting to the chase. Say what you want directly, but I'll say 2 things first: no custody transfer, and no remarriage. In other words, I don't need either of you. Magnolia frowned, hesitating to speak. Vincent glared at me, his eyes red on the verge of tears. But I no longer stayed up all night to soothe his crying. Finally, Magnolia spoke first. "Victor Wong, if you didn't like me, why did you marry me? I always thought we were a great match. You were the best son-in-law of the Lee family." Her eyes showed a faint, almost imperceptible pain, but I sank into memories that chilled me to the bone. I closed my eyes, trying to dispel the terrifying images, but failed. I had to admit, even with my freedom, the past clung to me like a shadow. Letting out a breath, I took a sip of water. If you'd been sent to a brutal academy, tortured every day, locked in a dark room, physically punished, and the only way out was to be a model homemaker, you'd agree to, wouldn't you? Magnolia stared at me, as if she didn't understand what I was saying. I gave a faint smile. You never thought that I always top of my class, didn't love studying. From 16, I was chosen by your family to be groomed as a son-in-law. At 18, I couldn't take it, rebelled, fell in love early, and was immediately sent to that brutal academy. I wasn't released until our wedding day. Those memories I still don't want to recall. So I had no desire to be your husband. Not then, not now. I once dreamed of a harmonious marriage, a kind father, a filial son. But you all shattered my hopes. You made me realize the Lee family was a cage that, if I didn't escape, would trap me until death. Now I have a new life. What you should do is leave me alone. As for this restaurant, that night 6 years ago, I already found it utterly repulsive. With that, I gave her and her son no chance to respond, grabbing my bag and heading out. At the door, I heard a sob behind me. "I'm sorry. I didn't know you went through this. But I still want to ask, if you once dreamed of a harmonious marriage, does that mean you liked me, loved me? If so, could we start over? Even just a little." I didn't turn back or answer. I didn't expect the next afternoon my long-absent father would find me. He wore a smile, both ingratiating and guilty. "Son, where have you been all these years? Why didn't you call home even once?" I looked at his newly gray hair, unsure of the feeling in my heart. The man who once boldly controlled me now bowed before me, as if all the pain I'd suffered wasn't insurmountable. Snapping back, I looked at him coldly. "Mr. Wong, speak plainly. No need to beat around the bush." He seemed unprepared for my distant tone, his smile freezing momentarily, almost faltering. His eyes flashed with dimness. Then restrained, he said, "Father, I came for nothing special. Just thought, since you haven't been home in years, could you come for a meal? While you were gone, President Lee took great care of our family. I see she still has feelings for you. The divorce before. You didn't even discuss it with us. Now that you're back, why don't our families talk again? After all, since you were 16, weren't you betrothed to President Lee? I caught the subtext in his words, my smile growing colder. You're saying I could remarry Magnolia Lee? Father Wong nodded eagerly, his eyes sly and murky, revealing calculation. I gave a faint smile. What did the Lee family promise you this time? Resources, a joint project. If the Wong family can only survive by selling their son, it's time to go bankrupt. My words spared no courtesy. Father Wang's smile collapsed. A few years abroad and your wings are stiff, huh? You talk to your father like that. If some loudmouth hadn't told Magnolia Lee I sent you to that brutal academy, she wouldn't have suddenly pulled funding from our company. Overnight, my company's value halved. Today you're coming with me to see her no matter what. He reached to grab my arm. I shook him off sharply. This rotten piece of the Wong family is long overdue for disposal. An hour later, in the living room of the old Wong family home, I saw Magnolia Lee again. Vincent Wong sat beside her, looking at Father Wong the same way he once looked at me. Completely ignored. I paid them no mind, finding a seat for myself. Magnolia looked at me thoughtfully, speaking Victor Wong. I came today. I cut her off, glancing at her. Whatever you're here for, no need to tell me. With me, it's best if you don't show up. Magnolia's eyes dimmed briefly. After a long pause, she sighed. I'm not here to force you. Their words were cut off, this time by Father Wong. He smiled, pulling out a bottle of fine wine and placing it on the table, feigning warm hospitality toward Magnolia and Vincent. Come try the rare wine if saved. This Victor Wong has always been stubborn. I've scolded him already. This time he's back. To live well with President Lee, let's pick an auspicious day and hold the remarriage ceremony. He bent to pour wine for Magnolia, acting certain as if he were the supreme ruler of this elite circle. Perhaps in his eyes, I was never a son, but a dependent tool, a means to gain benefits. In short, never an independent person, but Magnolia more powerful than him. Remained slow to respond. He couldn't help but probe again. President Lee, I know 6 years ago this boy divorced you without permission. You must be upset. The remarriage ceremony can't be too grand. If you don't want one, that's fine. Just take him back. He added, what do you think? But it wasn't Magnolia who answered. The Wong family door was forcefully pushed open. What do I think? What era is this still playing matchmaker and daring to poach someone from my foreign affairs department? Landis' bodyguards burst through the door. Following them was an elderly man in an administrative coat, his face stern, though aged. His white hair and commanding presence demanded respect. His eagle-sharp eyes scanned the room. Though the Wong family were mere merchants, they knew who Landis' bodyguards protected. In an instant, the Wong household's atmosphere turned icy. Father Wong hurried forward, phoning esteemed leader. What wind brought you here? Your presence truly lights up this humble home. The old man snorted coldly, his gaze sharp as an icy blade. In 1950, the marriage law abolished matchmaking. Yet today you dare to drag someone from our foreign affairs department here to arbitrarily arrange his marriage. Do you want to turn back history? 2 sentences left Father Wong stunned in place. Not just him. Everyone who knew me, even the child, who once saw me as a servant, stared at the old man. Someone from the Foreign Affairs Department. This is a family gathering. How could there be someone from Foreign Affairs? You're joking, but the old man ignored him, looking at me with a kind smile. Little Wong, come here. Seeing the old man look at me, Father Wong's suspicion deepened, even showing a hint of contempt. Esteemed leader, you haven't mistaken someone, have you? My son didn't even finish college. How could he be in foreign affairs? He's just a homemaker. A few years ago, he ran off and divorced. Before he finished, Landis' bodyguards stepped forward to restrain him. I stood amid everyone's shocked gazes, walking to the old man's side with a touch of guilt. Sir, I'm so sorry. My family matters have troubled you to come. Before leaving Father Wang's house, I had messaged my friend, also a diplomat, on WeChat. This man was a veteran leader in the domestic foreign affairs department. When I first joined, I met him once. The old man waved it off unconcerned. Don't say that. You're an outstanding member of foreign affairs. Young, fluent in 5 languages, with strong work ability. Who dares make you a homemaker? I'd be the first to object. Love freely, marry. The organization fully supports that, but matchmaking absolutely not. Comrade Little Wong, I'm ending your family visit early. Any objections? I shook my head, smiling none at all. I'm eager to get back to work. The old man nodded. A white-plated honky car pulled straight into the Wong family gate, followed by several police cars. I escorted the old man to the back seat of the honky. Closing the door, police officers stepped out, approaching Father Wong, holding out documents. According to our investigation, the harsh academy you sent Victor Wong to, engaged in confinement, abused mental control, and other crimes. Please come with us for investigation. Father Wong loudly protested his innocence, but no one paid attention. The family gathering ended unhappily. I was about to leave with the old man, but a sob came from behind Father. My grip on the car door tightened unconsciously. The old man turned to look at me, nodding. Diplomacy isn't like other jobs. You're often abroad, with few chances to see family. Settle what needs settling early. With that, the old man left first. I turned to face Magnolia and Vincent. Vincent clung tightly to his mother's hand, his eyes brimming with tears. Sobbing, his head held high stubbornly, as if trying not to let the tears fall. Father, do you really not want to be my father anymore? Do you really not need me? Vincent bit his lips, struggling to speak. These years, Mother, and I missed you so much. I often saw Mother in the study, staring at your photo. Those words I said before I was immature. Father, can you forgive me? Father, can you love me again? Looking at him, I felt a pang of sorrow. After all, he was my son. To say I didn't love or care was impossible. But how could I let my own child stab thorns into my shoulders? In the lonely household with no one to help, even my own flesh and blood stood against me without hesitation. Now I could let go, but I couldn't forgive on behalf of my past self. I looked at him gently, speaking slowly. The time we spent together wasn't long. In those brief 3 years, for 1.5, you hadn't fully grasped the world. In your crib, babbling, learning to speak. I held you daily, tirelessly teaching you words. But you probably don't remember much. Later, when you began to understand the world, you thought I wasn't good enough, ignored me. As your father, you wanted someone else to be called father, though you were just a naive child. The pain I felt then wasn't fake. 6 years later, I was absent from your growth and didn't care about your education. In theory, I have no right to blame or teach you. But today, I still want to tell you one thing, perhaps the last thing I can pass on to you in this life. That is, people must take responsibility for what they say and do, even if you're just a child. The excuse of being young doesn't deserve forgiveness. As I finished, a heart-wrenching cry came from behind Father. I know I was wrong. Please don't go, I beg you, don't go. My steps faltered, but I didn't stop. Call me cold, call me irresponsible, it doesn't matter. No matter how others judge. I gave Vincent Wong everything I could, staying with Magnolia Lee. How receive the best education, plenty of care and love. In the future, he'll inherit the Lee Corporation. The Rome others dream of is just his starting point. He has far more than he realizes. Losing a father may leave an irreparable mark on his growth, but for him to have a father, I'd lose my entire life. If he truly loved me, I'd be willing to sacrifice for him. Sadly, he didn't. What a pity. The first half of my life, whether marriage or children, whether as a husband or father, was a failure. But thankfully, I've now succeeded in being myself. In this world, someone must love me. If no one else does, then it's me. With that thought, a faint smile curved my lips. My steps away from the Wong house quickened. The day one returned to Finland, Magnolia Lee came to the airport to see me off. She didn't ask again about remarriage, or if there was any chance. She just looked at me quietly. After a long time, She offered an impossible hypothetical. Victor Wong, if we could start over, I cherish you, love you. Not like now, regretting only after losing you. I always thought you'd stay by my side forever. I never expected. What I did never made you feel happy. Victor Wong, am truly sorry. I didn't respond. Just looked up at the flight information board. The last time you saw me off to right. But back then we didn't say a proper goodbye. Magnolia, let's say a proper goodbye this time. The word goodbye seemed to strike a nerve in Magnolia. Her brows trembled, her eyes filled with suffocating sorrow. Is it possible? Her lips quivered, hesitating, unable to form a full sentence. I stood before her, opening my arms. Don't be so sad. After all, we lived together for a time. I'm like an old friend to you, right? Come a hug. Before I finished, I was pulled into a warm embrace. Magnolia's distinct scent enveloped me. She held me tightly, her arms tightening, as if wanting to meld me into her bones. In our marriage, we rarely had such intimate moments. Even a simple hug or holding hands, sitting calmly to talk, all were things I once craved but never had. But when I no longer needed them, they appeared before me one by one. I sighed, gently patting Magnolia's back. Her shoulders shook violently, making me feel a bit choked up. My voice broke as I spoke. Keep going. Be more attentive in the future. If you meet the right person, build a new family. Treat them well. Magnolia held me tighter, shaking her head. A cold drop fell on my neck. I couldn't help but marvel. Fate sometimes plays cruel tricks. I always thought Magnolia had no feelings for me, so I left decisively, freely. I thought my departure was the best solution for everyone. I gained freedom. Magnolia got her love. Vincent got the father he wanted. Theodore fulfilled his wishes. But it turned out it was all amiss. Perhaps this relationship to Magnolia was also a regret. She leaned close to my ear, her voice hoarse with heartache. I'm so sad. I never held you this earnestly before. In that moment my eyes burned, but I gave a resigned smile. I let her go. It doesn't matter anymore, Magnolia. We both have to move forward. Don't look back. She grabbed my hand, looking at me utterly serious. I won't have a new husband. Vincent will only have one father. I know the past hurt you. You don't want to forgive us. But Vincent and I will wait for you. If one day you want to see us, just say, no matter where I am, it'll bring Vincent to appear before you immediately. Victor Wong, my door is always open for you. Before she finished, from behind an airport pillar, a small figure rushed out. Vincent, eyes red, sobbing. Father, I know I was wrong. I'll wait for you. I'll wait until you're willing to be my father again. I crouched down, like countless times, comforting him as a child, gently wiping the tears from his face. I'm sorry, Vincent, I can't always stay by your side, fulfilling a father's duties, but I'll always be your father. That's unquestionable. No one can change that. But before being a father, I have to be true to myself. The airport loudspeaker announced, passengers for flight Finland 5252 to Helsinki, please proceed to gate 12. I stood patting Vincent's head one last time, looking up at Magnolia. Take him home. With that, I grabbed my small suitcase, turned, and the plane soared into the clouds. The city below, lit by countless lights, formed a grid of glowing dots. I realized I was leaving again. Perhaps the bond of blood would give us countless chances to meet again, but my choice would never change. The road ahead is long, but I must always be true to myself first. Nhi, thank you.